For the second weekend in a row, the UFC returns to the Apex, and in the main event, we got a high-stakes middleweight matchup between Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, looking for his 6th straight victory, while he goes up against Michel Pereira, who's looking for his 9th straight victory. So very, very fun fight there. In the co-main event, we have veteran Rob Font looking to buck his 1-4 trend over his last 5 fights, going up against rising contender Kyler Phillips. And there are some other fun fights on the card. Reminder, this is the quick picks version of the full card UFC Vegas 99 breakdown. If you're looking for more in-depth breakdowns, check out the link in the description below for the MMA Logcast, which I dropped earlier this week, where you're able to get, again, more in-depth breakdowns. This segment is strictly getting right to the point for every single matchup in 30 to 40 seconds per matchup. But again, there are some things that I end up leaving out just for the sake of time. So this is the quick picks. Also, a reminder, there's a PFL breakdown that I'll be dropping at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. Tonight as in Thursday night. So if you're looking for PFL breakdowns, I'll have you guys covered there. But I'll also be doing LFA and KSW, but those will only be in written form on the MMA, LOT, and Patreon page, where you can get access to the breakdowns, but also a ton of other great betting content. You guys can find that on the MMA, LOT, and Patreon page. Link in the description below. All right, quick picks, right? Hope you're laced up and ready to go, because we're off and running with the first fight of the night between Austin Lane and Robelis Despaigne. I believe this is a bad matchup for Lane, who has been knocked out in several fights, and I do believe that Despaigne can utilize his quick finishing approach to find that chin of Lane. But at the chalky price, I do not think Despaigne is worth a shot. Otherwise, leaning on his round 1 prop is probably the best way to get the best bang for your buck. Give me Despaigne, round 1 knockout. Next up, Melissa Martinez makes her return as she takes on Elise Ardelean. Although Martinez will have a striking advantage in this matchup, I think she'll struggle with the aggressiveness and grappling of Ardelean. I think Ardelean's not a bad underdog in this second fight, as I believe she should be able to wrangle Martinez, drag her to the ground, and keep her in uncomfortable positions. As long as she showcases a little bit more of an assertive approach like she did in the first and second round of the last matchup, she should be able to get the win here and win this fight on the scorecards. Next up, Jessica Penne going up against Elise Reed. Striker versus grappler here. I do lean with the striker, as I do think Reed can keep this fight upright long enough for her to batter Penne and win this fight on the scorecards. Although Penne to win by submission at plus 500 is not a bad spot to take a sprinkle on, as it could just take one back take or one takedown for Penne to utilize her jiu-jitsu advantage to get the submission. But the official prediction will be Elise Reed by decision, as she should be able to do a good enough job in terms of keeping this upright. Next up, Jocelyn Edwards going up against Tamiris Vidal. Edwards looking to bounce back from a loss to Eileen Perez, and I do think she has the technical striking advantage here against the slugger Vidal, but I think we'll actually see a grapple-heavy approach here from Edwards to utilize, which could open up a submission opportunity and her to defeat Vidal inside the distance. Next up, Brad Katona against Gene Matsumoto. Katona is a very educated and high IQ fighter, but I think that Gene Matsumoto has the good enough defensive grappling to keep this fight upright and utilize his striking advantage to touch up Katona en route to a decision victory. I do think the line is a little bit wide here, so there could be some Katona value on his underdog line, but I do think that Matsumoto will just be more dangerous in the striking realm and allow him to win this fight by decision. Next up, Matthias Nicolau going up against Asu Almabayev. Nicolau is the veteran here, but I think he's in for a hard time as he goes up against the grappler and relentless style of Almabayev, and I think that we'll see Almabayev do a good job in terms of closing the distance and keeping Nicolau on the defensive, allowing Almabayev to grind this fight out and win it on the scorecards. Next up, Darren Elkins against Daniel Pineda. Both guys always bring the violence, as Pineda has finished all 28 of his victories, but I think he will struggle to deal with the relentless style of Elkins, and as long as Elkins' durability holds up early, he should be able to break Pineda down and find a finish in the second or third round. Next up, Jake Hadley takes on UFC debutant and short notice replacement Cameron Smotherman. I think Hadley has a big enough grappling advantage here, and all the things working against Smotherman, with him taking this fight on short notice, having to cut all the way down to 135 pounds while having to fly all the way back from Abu Dhabi, where he was ready to corner his training partner Rafion Stotts. That should work against him here in Jake Hadley, who I believe is the better grappler and should have no problems taking this fight to the ground, where Smotherman has shown issues in the past. Look for Hadley to get this fight to the ground and eventually find a submission. Next up, Charles Johnson going up against Sumudaerji. Both guys probably classified as strikers, but Johnson has the better gas tank, better disciplined striking, and good enough footwork and defensive striking to stay away from the big power of Sumudaerji, allowing Johnson to chip away at Sumudaerji, either win this fight by decision or get that late finish. Next up, Rob Font going up against Kyler Phillips. And Font has been on a very bad slump as of late, and I think that his volume style approach can be effective against most opponents, but I think that we'll see Kyler land the more significant strikes, not just volume-wise, but at least in terms of making it look better for the judges, and mix that in with a few takedowns. Look for Phillips to grind this fight out and win it on the scorecards. And that brings us to our main event between Anthony Hernandez and Michel Pereira. Pereira will be very dangerous in the opening 5 minutes of this matchup, but I think that Hernandez has done a great job in terms of finding ways to wear opponents down, keep them in the clinch, take them to the ground, mat return them, utilize a ton of submission attempts, but eventually wear Pereira down, and I think that will lead to him getting a finish in the 3rd or 4th round. There you guys go. Quick picks for UFC Vegas 99. Hopefully you guys enjoy the breakdowns. I got the PFL breakdowns dropping very shortly, so make sure you guys come back to the YouTube channel and check that out. Otherwise, I'll be back on Friday to drop the top 3 best prop bets for UFC and the free parlay as well for the card. So see you guys then. Peace.